take a gentle moment together to settle in. Wherever you are, if you're able, place your feet on the floor and take a slow breath in and a soft breath out. Let's do that again. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And as you breathe, remember, in this moment, we're holding space for joy. I've invited my guest today, Dr. Mack, to share a joy moment with us. What joy moment do you have to share with us today?
Well, I have many joy moments, but one I will just share that yesterday I was having a conversation with my youngest son, and we always have great conversations because his mind is vast and imaginative. And so we're just talking about life, and he asked me the question, "What do you think I can do?" And I said, "Well, I think you can do anything that you set your mind to." And he said, "Good, me too." And just like one of those things that just reminded me, just as children, we don't think about limitations on
Yeah,
ourselves. We really have things that are just, the world is open to us, and
yeah,
anything
yeah,
we can think of, we think can be.
yeah.
No matter how, there's no one saying, "Oh, that's too outlandish," or "That's too much," or trying to kind of put us in a box. And so it just helped me have a little reset and recheck that anything can be, right? If you put your mind to it, if you really um, put effort into it, that it can come to pass, right? Because God wants us to give us the desires of our heart. And so
Yeah.
why not?
Why not? That's a
Yeah.
lovely joy moment, a moment that not only you share it with your son, but a moment for you to pause. Because as you're telling him something, it's quite possible you're thinking about how you could apply that to yourself or other folks in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
how much he's really, what I'm happy about is that how much he's thinking about his future at 12 years old. And, and I just was wondering, like, did I think about my future in the same way as he's thinking about his? I think I had some more kind of abstract kind of thoughts about, like, oh, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to live this
Mm-hmm.
place, I'm going to have my own apartment, the kind of things you think about when you think of becoming an adult as a
Yeah, yeah.
child, right? And what
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
means. But for him, he's thinking of what he wants to accomplish in his life, just not these other kind of weird things. So I think for me, it's inspiring, honestly. It helps me kind of continue to keep myself more focused and thinking about, okay, what am I trying to accomplish in my life? If he has a whole agenda that he's working on, I got to catch up with him. Yeah,
We got to keep up with these 12-year-olds.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That was so lovely. Thank you for taking the time to share that with us.
Yeah,
Maybe the limits I imagine are there aren't really there.
exactly. The
Yeah.
things that we kind of decided, well, that just can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we think, oh, just because of financial reasons, because of our age or whatever, these are things
Yeah.
that are out of the realm of possibility for ourselves. But it's not, right? While we're still breathing, while we're still possible and still having that thought, if it keeps coming back to your mind,
Yeah.
then maybe there's something that you need to act on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To take some
Yeah.
steps towards, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
Well, you all, we are at Held with Joy, and welcome to Held with Joy. This is a sacred and practical space where psychological well being, emotional health, and spiritual health meet. In this space, we talk about gentle practices that help us live with intention, especially in challenging seasons. I'm your host, Kelly Holder, and today's conversation is extra special because I get to sit with someone who empowers leaders to live with a gratitude mindset. Our guest today is Dr. Maquisha Mullins, known to many as Dr. Mac, a leadership strategist, an author, a communications expert who helps leaders turn authenticity into influence. She's the founder of Lead Speak Grow LLC and the host of Lead Speak Grow podcast, where she translates complex leadership theory into practical strategies for real world success. with executive experience in higher education and in the nonprofit sector. Dr. Mack has led crisis communication efforts, advised presidential level institutional leadership, and designed high impact development programs that strengthen teams and organizations. Dr. Mullins holds a PhD in leadership studies from North Carolina A&T State University, an MS in advertising from Syracuse University, and has taught at the University of Rhode Island, the University of Alabama in Huntsville, and Oakwood University. She is also the author of Grateful Life, Inspiration for a Life of Joy, the Grateful Life Journal, and In Gratitude, equipping leaders with tools for both personal and professional growth. Dr. Mack's great joy is empowering authentic leaders to lead with a gratitude mindset. Dr. Mack, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Such an
Yeah,
honor.
yeah. So we're going to jump into it. You know, You help lots of folks, especially leaders, show up as their authentic selves. But I'd love to start with your story. What are some of the key moments that shaped your journey of faith, calling, and the work that you do so well today?
Oh, wow. So for me, I have always been a person that's been active in my faith community ever since I was a kid because my parents were active and leaders. My grandparents were always active in their church and their community. So it's just something that's kind of intrinsic to my family. There's nothing that I was thinking about doing.
Okay.
It's just part of who we are, and the way we move in the world. And so from a young age, I was always involved in organizing and planning activities. Um, Even in my playtime, I was, bossing people around, making them my students. I was a
Okay.
teacher. They had to do assignments and all that kind of stuff, right? So always something within me was trying to educate, encourage people
Okay.
just from a young age, as well as nurture people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and feeling deeply, being empathetic about what's happening with people, what's going on in their lives, and asking not just maybe not as a child so much directly asking or questioning them about things what's happening, but thinking in my mind, I wonder what's going on with them. If I notice someone feeling down or looking sad, like what's going on
Yeah, yeah.
behind them? And so that led me to want to work with youth and youth development. So while I was working in nonprofit, I became a facilitator for a youth development program for the county that I was living in at the time, and helping people that work with young people take a strengths-based approach to guiding and leading young people,
Okay.
and helping them become leaders themselves. And I was just like, I want to do this and understand this more. I was kind of like, I
Mm-hmm.
want to understand this more. Then I worked at the Boys and Girls Club for a while, and Boys and Girls Club is all about youth development and developing leaders for their community. And so this idea of youth development kept coming up, and leadership, and what is a leader? What's a good leader? So I was constantly just kind of having this question. I finally decided, I think I want to study this a little bit more. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to get my PhD in leadership studies, and I went to North Carolina A&T and did that. And it helped me get some of the answers to these anecdotal things I had kind of swirling in my mind about what
Okay.
motivates people, what kind of discourages people, why are certain people treated differently when they're in leadership roles, and
Mm-hmm.
why are people kind of acting out and acting poorly when they're in leadership roles,
Right.
possibly oppressing other people, um, being derogatory towards other people, and really abusing their power, right? And so all of these things about leadership and bad leadership, and is bad leadership actually leadership, um, kind of questions that I had a chance to really study and look at. And I was drawn to when we began to study authentic leadership. And I was drawn to authentic leadership because of the man, his name is Bill George, that kind of opened up that space in the study of leadership as a discipline, and saying that he was an industry leader. He was a CEO of a medical instruments company. And he just found that so much poor behavior was happening amongst his colleagues, and he was kind of taken aback, and he was like, this isn't right. These
Yeah.
we're stealing people's pension money, we're kind of having adulterous affairs and things. This is not who we should be. The people that work with us and for us expect more of us as leaders,
Mm-hmm.
call to like a moral high ground that we should be on when we're kind of taking charge of people's lives and their livelihoods and the influence that they wield when they're in these Fortune 500 companies. And so he said, it's not authentic to who we said we would be. It's incongruent with what we said we would be as an organization. And after he was kind of critical of other leaders because of their kind of public misbehavior, he began to kind of critically look at his own and said, well, why am I kind of dressing the way I'm dressing? These designer
Yeah.
watches and things like that don't really align with who I am. And so it really delves into the values that you hold. What are your core values in your life?
Yeah.
And are they being expressed in your interactions with the people that you're leading?
Yeah.
Is that coming through? Is that being conveyed? And for him, he found that though some of the things that other people were doing was egregious, he found himself out of alignment with his own core values.
Okay.
And so it resonated with me at that point in time while I was studying and working on my doctoral work. But then again, later on during the pandemic, when I was working from home and being kind of like 24/7 on, because
Yeah.
communication, I was working in communications at the time, and it's a in-demand function at that point. Everyone's kind of wanted information all the time about what's happening in the world because, we were all understandably so kind of in distress related
Yeah.
to the pandemic, not really truly understanding what was happening. But for me, what that meant was not just am I living with the consequence of the pandemic, but also in work, the demand goes higher. And though I was in my home with my family, everyone's in the house with me, I was not with them at all. So
Mm-hmm.
I would go into a space to work in the morning and not emerge until the evening, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock at night sometimes, or maybe even 10 o'clock. And so I was just separated from them. And then again, here comes the youngest son. And he comes and runs to me one night when I came out of the room. And he's like, oh, mommy, I miss you. And I was like, what? And it just kind of hit me like, what do you mean? I've been here all day. He was like, oh, but I miss you so much. I haven't seen you. And I was just
Wow.
like, oh no, this is bad. Like, why am I in the physical space but not
Right.
connected? And so I found that to be incongruent with my core values,
Okay.
right? Because family, my faith, my family are the most important things to me. And so I was allowing the demands of my work to override what I said was my highest priority, what I claimed. So other people wouldn't see that as a thing and not think it's that big of a deal because it wasn't, causing some kind of severe distress in my household per se. But if I allowed it to persist and didn't kind of pay attention to that warning sign, what did that mean for my relationship with my children and my level of interaction, that I was physically in the space but not present with them, and not tending to their needs and prioritizing the needs of other populations above theirs, right?
Yeah.
And so these are the people that I said that are my highest priority, but I wasn't acting in a way where they felt prioritized, right, or
Okay.
seen by me. And so with authentic leadership, that is what it's all about. You making that decision for yourself that these are the things, like 3 to 5 things for the most part, and they evolve in your life over time. But my family and my faith are always at the top of that list, and the
Yeah.
other things may shift around. But for me, authentic leadership and helping people remain connected to those things, because once you get off center, you find your irritability increases, um, decision making becomes a little bit more difficult, inconsistent, um, probably make more bad decisions when
Yeah.
you're kind of off target. and your communication tends to become less cohesive, less coherent for people.
Okay.
Uh, and so it makes it difficult for the team that you're working within to really connect with you because you're not yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so the
yeah.
person they're interacting with is not really you.
Yeah.
And so it leads to a lot of problems because they're responding to what you're doing, but you don't see that as yourself sometimes. You don't see that that's what's happening or
Yeah.
what you're projecting into the world. And so I try to talk people through what's leading to that dissatisfaction, what's causing them to get off a track and be so distanced from what they believe to be their core values, and try to implement steps to get back on track, and make sure that what they believe are their core values are actually being acted out for them on a day-to-day basis where they can feel fulfilled. Because once you begin to work within that framework for yourself, it changes your attitude, your mindset, and everything on
Yeah.
a daily basis.
Yeah. 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 So as you have grown and given everything that you just shared, especially your core values being faith and family, what what tools or practices do you use to authentically hold on to your values of faith and family on a regular basis?
Oh, wow. Well, for me, I try to do three things every day.
Okay.
Because I've created a framework, a grateful framework that I created for myself when I was working my way back to being myself
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
as a leader, as a person. And it's not to um, kind of burden people with doing the onslaught of things all the time. But for me, it's three key things that I have to do, um, which is have a prayerful moment, and that prayerful moment in the morning when I get up before I get into any other things,
Okay.
before even going to the bathroom and brushing my teeth. And
Okay.
that is the first thing I do usually when I get up. Before that, I always read my scripture of the day and a devotional thought,
Yeah.
and say prayer. Even if I don't have the full, 5 to 10 minutes that I'd like for that to be, if I would say I oversleep or something, I still have to say my prayer,
Mm-hmm.
read my scripture, because I found if I do not do that, my day is not what it needs to be. I
Okay.
get off kilter. I'm not as productive. And I get to the end of the day and I realize, gosh, I was not as productive as I thought I would be. And I
Wow.
reverse back and realize, oh, you know what? I did not start with
Mm.
my morning devotion and prayer and scripture reading.
Okay.
And so that always has to be. The second thing I always do is I always tell everyone in my family, my household, that I love them, and hug them or kiss them or something. I just always want them to know that they are loved by me.
Yeah.
Um, and especially because another lesson that came from the pandemic, you just don't know all of the thoughts that are going on with the person
Yeah.
at any point in time. And so just reaffirming that I am present and available to them is important for me.
Okay.
Uh, and I feel like it's important for them to know that no matter what else I have going on, that it is not more important to me than you and your well-being.
Okay.
Um, and so that's always a part of my day as well. Um, and um, having also a gratitude moment for myself.
Mm.
I try
Okay.
to make sure that I kind of drop in for the day, kind of what that thing that's making me happy in the moment. So sometimes it's my tea. Sometimes my tea is just like really good to me. you know,
I love tea. Yeah.
I have like this Madagascar vanilla tea that I love. That's
Oh, that one's good.
so good. I just when I have that, I'm like, oh, that's good. I love this. Or
Yeah.
sometimes, with the way the sun is coming in the window,
Mm-hmm.
the light that's being cast, just whatever that moment is, at the
Yeah.
start of my day, I try to use that in those moments of frustration when something
Okay.
is not working the way I want it to work.
Right. Yeah.
Um, that I can revert back to that. Oh, okay. Remember the taste of that tea this morning and how
Yeah.
happy you were with that. Carry
Yeah.
that with you in this moment. as just as a touchstone, so I can recalibrate whatever I'm feeling, any frustration, any annoyance, whatever it is, and clear my mind a little bit with that kind of refreshing thought. Um, so I can get my communication together and say what I need to say
Right.
to work through the moment. Right.
Yeah. Those are beautiful practices because each one of them are anchoring, they, as you set each of those anchors in your morning, there are places you can refer back to throughout the day.
Yeah.
And they're accessible. Like you've created tools that are accessible for you and anchoring, which can they both of those concepts really go a long way. That I can do this. This is something I can do every day. And
Yeah.
once I do it, it's something I can refer back to no matter what's happening that might disrupt me a little bit. I can come back to it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I found that I needed to do that beyond, because these other things like being out in nature and exercising and all these other things are great as well. But sometimes it's cold or it's rainy, and it's like, okay, I'm not going out. It's not going outside at all. I'm just gonna stay here underneath this blanket for the next couple of days, right? Um, and I do love being out in the sunshine and
Yeah.
and experiencing nature and things like that. But I found for me that the three things I can do no matter where I am,
Yeah.
no matter where I am in the world. Um, that I can always do those things. So even when I'm not physically in town, if I'm out of town away from my family, I will text them or call them a voice message or things like that
Yeah.
to still make that point of connection throughout the day. So it's easy and doesn't cost me anything to do these things. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that so much. And I am really hopeful that those listening have been able to pull from your own these practices that you share with us because they are accessible and they're
Yeah.
practical, accessible, and they're very much anchoring. When we get disrupted, we can remember whatever you read in that devotion time or thinking about the love and what does that mean between you and your family members or referring back to, just that good moment that you allowed yourself to experience at the start
Yeah,
of your day. It's really great.
exactly.
Really great. I can't believe our time has gone by this quickly that we are at the end. Is there one last thing you would like to just leave people with? Like one last thought as we kind of sum up?
I just like to say to people, I kind of with my business, I created the tag of every day forward.
Okay.
And he was like, okay, what does that mean? Like, I was like, okay. But for me, that is a reminder really for me. I'm sharing it with other people, but it reminds me that there are setbacks. There are times where you do not meet your own expectation,
Mm-hmm.
times when you feel less than successful. Um, but it doesn't matter how far you're going in each day. It's just that you are continuing to move yourself forward. So that's
Yeah.
challenging yourself
Yeah.
to overcome that failure and not allow it to kind of hold you back or keep you discouraged, whether it's taking a big risk, whatever the next big thing is coming up, or going to some stepping out and doing something new, like starting a
Yeah.
podcast or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Something that is challenging you and pushing you to do something incrementally more than you did the day before.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I just try to encourage people to just make sure that every day is forward. Yeah.
Every day forward. Every day forward. I love that as our final thought. Every day forward, y'all. Every day. Every day. Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Mack. As we close up, I just want to remind everyone that joy is always available in every season and in every experience. It doesn't always come easily, though, right? And it certainly does not always look the way we expect. Sometimes joy is quiet. Sometimes we can find it in our strength. Sometimes we find it in rest. Sometimes we find it in beautiful practices like devotion and saying I love you to the people in our lives, or having a spot in our day where we can express gratitude. But it's there. And if today you're listening and you're having trouble reaching it, if it feels far away or buried underneath everything you're carrying, please remember this: you are seen, you are valued, and you are held with joy. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself, all right? Bye.
Hi, friend. Have you ever looked completely fine on the outside while something deep inside you was quietly breaking? I have. And friend, I was a clinical psychologist who taught this stuff. I knew the research, I taught self-care, I helped others heal, but I was giving what I didn't have. My emotional resources were gone, and I was still performing, still showing up, still trying. And one night I found myself crying at the dinner table while my children watched. And in that broken moment, God met me there. He showed up, and he showed me that I had been teaching people to survive, but not to fully flourish. And here's what changed everything for me. Joy isn't the reward for when life finally calms down. It's not waiting for you on the other side of your breakthrough or your healing or your success. Joy is available right now, in the middle of the mess, in the waiting, in the hard. And that's why I've created Joy University, a sacred space for women of faith who are done surviving and ready to live emotionally whole, spiritually grounded, and genuinely joy-filled today. Because, sweet friend, burnout was never meant to be the price you pay for purpose. Comment joy or DM me joy, and let's walk this path together. You were made for more than this.